Okay, Geek Stackers, it has been a while. We back. All right, here we are, Geek
It
Stackers,
do flight crew.
back to
At
make it
2T.
do what it do. Yeah. So we were having a conversation just now about gaming, and I can't remember the premise of what you were saying, but we were
So
like,
I was saying that online gaming has changed the perspective on gaming a lot comparatively.
so go into detail. What do you
So
mean?
okay, as soon as online gaming started becoming the popularized version of what gaming is, right? People don't like if you say you're a gamer, and you start mentioning a bunch of like single player games. People are like, oh, well, because you're not really a gamer. And it's like, well, I mean, that's still the same thing. Like it's like I understand the perspective of that because the only media people are shown about gaming that is like the most popular is like you see like Fortnite or like Call of Duty pro players or like all the Smash legends and stuff like that. So it's I understand that. But I think whenever especially companies started focusing specifically on just online gaming, people kind of just are considering that the primary medium, even though like if you really look at it, it should be the other way around, right? But I think like it doesn't matter what you play, you're still a gamer either way. And it's just like online gaming has changed how companies format a lot of stuff. Like you see the Halo situation, instead of like releasing the game, they released an online service, and like
Halo's trash.
you kind of saw how that went. You know what I mean? Like they focused solely on the making it like an online service that can be like a Fortnite or a PUBG. And like Fortnite, great game, right? What it's done for the gaming industry is amazing. Not every game can be Fortnite, and every game is trying to do that. So they're just like
Right.
they're just failing in every aspect. Like the one thing I would say that a lot of games are trying to mimic that I think is good is the whole cross-platform thing. I think that is amazing. That is one of the best things that Epic Games has
Super
brought
dope.
into the game space, and it's just it changed a lot of stuff. Like it's still changing a lot of things.
It
So
is.
yeah, bro,
Yeah.
I just think it's kind of ridiculous. And you were talking about the thing with
Super
you said,
Famicom. Yeah, the Super
yeah,
Nintendo. When you so I can remember when gaming first came onto the scene, right? And I'm talking about we're taking this back to like the Atari, the original Atari, and even before that, what was it? The Commodore 64.
oh,
I
the
think
Commodore 64.
yeah,
What was it?
I
Sega
think
Saturn?
I think the first game was on a Commodore 64, but I could be mistaken. I should have looked that up beforehand. But when the Super Famicom released and then the Super Nintendo, same system, but they named it, or the Nintendo Entertainment System when it came to the United States, yo, I can remember that. This was the 80s. My cousin got that Nintendo, and I
Talking about
remember going over to his house, and
you've talked about this story so many
yo,
times. Like
we were
always
playing
hours.
Excite Bike, and we were playing Mario and what was it, Duck Hunt?
Duck Hunt is legendary. Legendary game.
Legendary. And
I think so.
that's back when the Nintendo came with that robot that held the controller.
Robot that
Oh
held the
yeah,
controller.
it's crazy. If you don't know anything about that, yeah, look that
I
up.
know nothing about that.
Yeah, look that up. That's crazy.
I mean, it's kind of insane when you think about how things have progressed. Like think about it like this. I could literally play games that look 10 times, 20,000 times better than the games you used to play on actual systems on something the size of my hand,
Right.
right?
This is a
And it's
fact.
like I don't know. Gaming is it's just changed a lot over the past few years. Like there's a lot of things that they started doing that were like technologies they've actually been able to utilize now that they have the tech to be able to proliferate those ideas. Especially a lot of things in graphics and like it's just very interesting to watch and
It
see. Because
is.
now that I kind of understand a little bit about like what goes into that, it's like whenever I see things, it makes me like I was always excited to do gaming stuff, and now that I like kind of get it more, I get like twice as excited as I would if I didn't.
Right. Now that you're in that space, you're in
It's
that
like
gaming world.
yeah, like
It right.
I'll see something small, like a system somebody made, or like some type of like feature somebody added. I'm like, oh, that is cool. I'll start geeking out, going like, oh, they probably did like this, or they could have did like this, or they probably did something similar. I'm just like, and it's just it's insane how much gaming has grown in the past 30 years. It's
It's grown a
probably,
lot.
in my opinion, it has probably led to more technological advances than
Facts.
people know about. Because
Facts.
a lot of things that they started using in gaming first, and they started like proliferating out to the other
Right.
sectors of
Right.
software. So multi-threading, right?
When you look at I'll let you finish that thought, but when you look at crypto and crypto mining, they were using graphics cards and graphics processors for crypto mining.
Yes, they
Like,
still are.
yeah. Anyway,
I mean, a lot of those graphics cards were created to make better looking games. Like,
right.
and that's what, and that in turn affected how computers were made faster, like write times for certain CPUs and stuff like that. And it's changed everything. It's changed a lot of things. And people take gaming seriously, right? And I think if more people understood the amount of technological advances that have come out of that space, they'd probably respect it a lot more.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
like I always respect it because I was always just been like somebody who's enjoyed video games, always been a gamer, right? That's always just
Right.
been me, right? But getting into that space and like learning about things that go into it and the technologies that have come out of that, I respect it like 20 times more than I did before. Like, you say you're a game developer, people just think, oh, you just design video games and stuff like that, but they're also actual like engineers. They actually engineer stuff and make new technology or what is it, iterate on new technology to make things better. And it's like, it's just very interesting.
It is. It is gaming.
And in the respect to like we were talking about, what was it, like online gaming versus like single player gaming,
Right.
Sometimes like one achievement can overshadow the other, because like a lot of times, especially like when you talk to people and they're like, oh, you game, what games do you play, right? Like what game, like you expect people to list like some online games or something like that. Like there's a few people who play online. I don't play online games that much. There's a few that I'll play, but a lot of the games I play end up being single player games because that's what I personally like to do.
Right.
Like I like story based, and like I'll take some fighting games every now and again, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like especially the newer generation of gamers don't really understand that point.
The joy in single player games. The game that, and you know this for months now, the game I've been rocking with. No.
Or was it Streets of Rage?
Crisis.
Oh yeah.
Crisis. Yo, I beat Crisis 1 and I'm playing through Crisis 2 right now. I bought, so on my Switch, which that's a whole nother discussion, right? This is kind of what led to the discussion we had about gaming. Is the Switch is killing the game right now. The most, by tech specs, the Switch is the most underpowered console on the gaming market right now.
But it's one of the best selling ones.
It is because
it's fun, because it does the very simple things that most studios and most games can't do.
True story at work, right? One of my coworkers, his son had a Switch Lite. So me and him were talking about the Switch and I showed him Crisis. So he wanted to play with his son. So he was like, all right, we're going to sell the Switch Lite and buy a regular Switch. He's a Xbox gamer, right? So he really wasn't on a Switch like that.
Yeah.
When he bought the Switch, he came back into work and we were talking about this. He was like, yo, he said, me and my wife were both saying Nintendo has put some magic sauce in this Switch.
I can't tell you what it is.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Like, I have Doom on my PS4. I got it like 2 years ago. Have not played it.
That's
played it.
crazy.
I bet you right now, if I got Doom Eternal on the Switch, I probably beat it in like 2 weeks.
You know what I think it is? I think it's the convenience.
It's the convenience. Right. No, literally, because like I'm always like, I mean, me and you are kind of said we're always on the go. We're always doing stuff, right?
Right.
So I don't always have the time to just sit down and game, and just like, even when I do, it's not for very long. It'll be like for like a few days, and then I'm off doing stuff again.
You know what's funny about that? I'm gonna tell you what I think Nintendo realized. Nintendo's original fan base is me. They're my age, right? Now, even though people like you came along and you are now a fan of Nintendo, most Nintendo fans are my age range. I'm 43. None of us have time to sit in front of a TV and play a game for hours. So Nintendo rightly calculated, yo, if we make this where their children can play it and they can pick this thing up and play it on the go, sitting on a couch, sitting in a bed, it's a win.
They're going gangbusters.
It's a win.
At least. And the thing that showed that to me the most, right? Xbox One X, whatever, top graphic stuff for a hot minute. That got outsold by the Switch in the Switch's second year.
That's
like,
crazy.
Through its entire lifetime. And I like crazy. I remember when I sent you that, I'm like, Dad, look at this. You're like, oh, that's crazy. That's before you got your Switch Lite.
Yeah.
You're like, man, that's crazy. I don't get it. And then you got a Warframe. And you're like, oh snap.
Yeah.
You realize the magic of the Joy-Cons.
It surprises you. Like, I have a Switch Lite. The Switch Lite works for me because I know at no point am I gonna sit in front of a TV on a couch and play a game. That's probably not gonna happen. I have too
It
much
might,
stuff
but
going on.
it's
I don't
yeah,
have time
it's
for
like
that.
it just fit. It's like the whole phone thing, right? More people play games on their phone because it's
Right.
just convenient. Everybody has a phone. They just pull their phone
Convenience.
out, start playing a
Right.
game. Now, me personally, like I'll also end up playing console stuff maybe every now and again. I play PC stuff now a lot more because I'm always on it,
Right.
right? But I get that. Like I remember when I first got the first Doom game on the Switch, I was playing that everywhere,
Yeah. I
everywhere,
remember.
literally ever. I was playing that game all the time, and it just
What
I
the
don't know.
the thing is, what the Switch does, it does right. And you know what it does? Gaming. A lot of these consoles, and here's the thing, to your original point, I think some of these consoles focus so much on the online capability that they forgot about the game. It's
Yeah,
like,
I mean, you
yo,
can see that a lot in games like Halo. Like, look, for the first like 4 or 5 months, Halo was fun. I was like, this is the greatest Halo game in a hot minute, right? And then they just focus so much on like the buyable content, the battle pass stuff, the challenges, that they didn't focus on like adding good content to the games. Like
right,
King of the Hill says still isn't in the game yet. That came stock on Halo 3 like almost 10 years, like what, 13, 14 years ago, right? And the fact that that's something that's not even like there yet on a game that had the biggest budget, the longest timeline,
like we
and
went
the
to the
biggest
moon
staff
50 years
of
ago, but we can't go
any
now.
Halo game ever. I'll say that every time we talk about this is that's the most disappointing thing I've ever heard, right? Like like the budget for Halo Infinite was bigger than the budget for Avengers Endgame, the biggest movie in recent history. Like, you know how
That's
crazy that is? Like,
so
it was
they
almost close to $1 billion.
so they
It was a
must have
crazy amount of money.
they must have lost a lot of money then,
I
because
hope they did. I
wow,
hope they did, so they'll learn that lesson. No, because you can't keep getting away with giving people subpar products. Okay,
this is
like
true.
I understand sometimes when you're creating a game, things happen. Like the whole Hello Game situation, that's understandable. They made their game a little too out of scope for the timeline they were given. It happens, right? But a game like Halo that had the longest timeline of any Halo game, the biggest budget of any Halo game, the biggest staff of any Halo game ever, ever. Okay, they had like I think like 3,000 people working on the game, and to release something like this, it just what were they working on this whole time,
I don't know.
right? That big of a team,
I don't
and
know.
then they
Yeah.
fired them all, and now nobody knows how to fix the issues in the game or create new content
It
because
was
they made
a
a new based game engine,
yeah,
and it doesn't make any sense to me.
it was a
It's a mass,
recipe for disaster.
no, yeah, it's like a mass amount of steps of mismanaging the situation so horribly, and it just got worse as time. Like so many like lead designers and lead developers have left in the past few months, and they say it's not related to anything that's going on. I'll take their word for it, but how that looks, just the opposite from that is just really bad.
It
Okay.
is. It is. Is bad optics for sure. I mean, well, when I think about it, I think to myself, how could they have handled this? What could they have done differently? Here's one thing they could have done differently. I would have preferred it. Like you remember, I was thinking about buying a new Xbox because I don't
No,
have an
you were
Xbox
you were
and I
scared.
love
Like
Halo.
you were seeing me and Malik play the game. You're like, oh, okay, you
Okay,
know
I
what?
might have to buy an
Might be the
Xbox.
game.
But then
Yeah.
it was like what, a couple weeks later, you were like,
Hold on. Yeah, nah.
yeah,
Look, if you look,
hold
okay.
off.
If you want to play the campaign is amazing. The campaign is
Yeah,
probably one
I
of the best
watched
we've
all
had.
the cutscenes. Yeah,
It
it's
was
dope, super
it was
dope.
darn near perfect, right?
Yeah, you weren't
And,
lying about that.
and the thing about it, right? They did the exact opposite the last game. That the multiplayer was really good, really thought out, was fun, had a lot of fun progression, right? Even though they had the whole loot box thing, which I don't really like all that much, right? But the story was trash. And like it's like can you not do both? They did both with less money, less time, less people. What is going
Well,
on here?
I'm gonna tell you what's going on. When if you're in a business and you're not in a business to make money, you're fooling yourself. So I want to start
Well,
out. I
yeah.
want to start out with that, right? You got to be in this thing to make money, or you're fooling yourself. But if money is your only motivation and there's no passion, then
You
what
failed.
happens is, yeah, you eventually fail
Like you see
because
what happened with the whole Bungie thing. That was horrendous.
which Bungie thing?
So whenever they left from Microsoft,
Oh yeah,
right, they
yeah.
started working with Activision. Hey, like Destiny 2 was never supposed to come out. They were just going to build upon Destiny 1 and just make it a really deep game, which I was like,
Like
okay, you know what?
Warframe.
Right. Exactly. But Activision was like, no, we're gonna push towards the second game, and they didn't want to make the second game. The first campaign stuff in the second game sucked. People hated it, and people at Bungie were like, yeah, it does suck. And now that they're no longer working with Activision, they're starting to get back to like what they actually want to do. But it just,
Too
I
late.
don't know. I don't know if it's too late because they still do have a pretty solid fan base. Like every time they drop a new DLC, it does numbers, right?
Okay.
But it's just like imagine how expansive and deep the game lore and gameplay would be if they had the chance to stick with Destiny 1.
Yo, and that's so we gotta give respect to the companies that do it right. And I want to shout out. I want to shout out to Warframe.
FromSoft.
Yo,
Wait, is it FromSoft? Hold up.
I
That might
think
be a
it.
different studio.
I'm pretty sure it is. That makes Warframe. Yeah. Look it up. But I want to give a shout out to Warframe. If you have not played Warframe, it's still on Xbox and PlayStation, correct?
Digital Extremes. It's still
Extremes.
everywhere.
Okay, yeah.
It's almost
So
everywhere.
yeah, so
Extremes,
you can play it on the Switch, you can play it on Xbox, you can play it on PC, you can play it on PlayStation, wherever you want to play it. I play it on a Switch, and I'm gonna keep it real with you. This is where I'm gonna also shout out these dudes from Panic Button. Yo, Panic Button Studios,
their ports.
you're gangsters.
Yeah.
You guys are digital gangsters, like for real. When you look at the Panic Button ports on the Switch, it's like wrapping your mind around quantum physics. Like, how is this happening right now? How are you doing this?
There's a lot of stuff that you could probably attribute it to. There's so many things you can do to lower the amount of resources that like a game will use.
Right.
Like, so if you do like procedural loading, or I don't think that's what it's called, but it's like so let's say, right, you're like,
he's going in the developer mode.
Wait, yeah, because
Developer talk.
I learned about this when I was working with Unreal Engine, right? So when you see something, when you see something in real life and you can't really see that much detail in it,
Right.
but the closer you get, you see more detail.
Right.
So what they'll do is they'll kind of unload the textures a little bit and stuff like that. The farther you are away from something, and the closer you get, they'll just load the textures in as if you're like your eyesight.
So it's only using the resources when you're up on it.
Exactly. Yeah. So it cuts down like the load time. And if you can get the latency of that to be like really like small, you can get a game that looks flawless.
Yo,
seamless.
Warframe looks flawless. Now, I'm gonna be realistic. Does the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series S look better than the Switch?
Oh yeah. Look, there's no doubt about that.
But before you go, I will say it doesn't look leagues better. And there are gonna be people in the comments who disagree with me. I understand that. I'm saying I've watched the side-by-side videos and it's better, but it's not like PlayStation and Xbox is straight washing the Switch. That's not happening.
Yeah, it's like if you compare the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 to like PS4, Xbox One, that was a pretty substantial difference in graphics. You could tell, right? But now it's like we've gotten so far with it that it's just like, is it really even worth it? Like, what I mean?
I'm gonna keep it real with you.
Cool. It's cool.
That's every time I play Crysis on the Switch, I think to myself, yo, do I even need graphics better than this? I mean, yeah. So are there times where frame rates drop? And look, I know the PC gamers out there, they're losing their minds right now. Their heads are exploding.
Yes, it is.
Look,
yeah, it is.
I get it. I get it. Frame drops is killer.
Look,
and
I'm playing something and it locks my frame rate, I'm gonna get a little mad.
I understand. I get it.
I can't get 120 frames.
But the thing is, we are complaining about luxuries.
No, yeah,
right?
it's like
now think about gaming, and think about the way games look now compared to how they looked 15 years ago.
10 years ago. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, did you ever imagine that you would be able to play something like Breath of the Wild in your hands? You know what I mean? Like,
it was such I don't know. It just works. Everything works very well in that game. Like everything is done right. It's not just one thing that's excelled upon. It's like everything in that game.
You know what Switch reminds me of right now?
Nintendo 64?
No, Apple and PC in this regard. Apple never has the best tech, right? The top of the line tech.
Until recently with the M1
The
chips.
M1 chips, they're crushing the game. They are
They're
crushing
low-key, I'm
the
gonna keep it
game.
real, right? Especially looking at some of the specs, it might be a smarter idea instead of building a PC to get one of the Mac Minis, virtual machine it, and just game that way.
It might be. Well, I'll see.
They
I'm
they
sure I'm sure somebody has done it.
because Macs have integrated graphics, so they're not having the whole issue with the whole graphics card issue and stuff like that.
So your what do you call it? Your read
Your
write
CPU,
speeds.
your CPU.
Yeah, and your read your
The
read.
thing the thing about it, right? I'm sorry, what were you saying? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was saying, you know how when you have a traditional motherboard and you have a detached graphics card and you have
Yes.
that I/O, that communication between
Between the CPU and the
right,
GPU, yes.
and it
Yeah,
takes
no,
some
I get what you're
times.
saying.
Right,
It
right.
does.
So if you eliminate that, like everything is on board, yo,
The
that's a
only issue, right? The only issue is writing the stuff for integrated graphics is a little harder, from what I understand. I could be wrong, and also it doesn't look as good if you have like your own GPU, right?
right. Yeah,
But the difference is like apples to oranges, right? It's like the PS4, PS5 thing. It's
right.
like yeah, there's a difference, but is it really worth? You know what I mean?
So
Like
yeah,
unless you're running like Star Citizen, I don't think it matters.
yeah. So the point I was making is Apple, they don't always have like the most, as far as tech specs are concerned, looking on paper, they don't always have the best stuff, but the way they integrate and build all their stuff is just so good.
I mean, it's only gonna get better, especially with the M1 chips. They can
Yeah.
have cohesion between their systems.
This
on different
look, this I bought this Mac Mini M1, 8 GB of RAM, and I have not been able to make this thing slow down or for the
Is that a
fan
challenge?
to go any
Is that
faster.
a challenge?
No, I know it can. I know you can overload it.
I was gonna say, I
Yeah,
was
no,
like,
you can overload it. It's possible, but I'm just saying in my typical day-to-day dealings, normally with a computer, you're gonna see at some point, yo, I gotta push this thing to overload
well,
it, like
so it's
really push
yeah.
it.
I guess it's the same with most computers that are pretty like on the higher end. Because like my like laptop is like no, it doesn't really do much. I mean, except for when I'm running Unreal Engine, and then it just
Yeah, Unreal is pretty intensive.
it
But I
takes
said all that to
so
say,
re-
I think Nintendo is in a similar vein where they have just figured out how to build something with the bare minimum.
So I might give you that, but as a Nintendo fan, I do have to say sometimes they just be dropping some gimmicky things that just
They do.
uh,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you think in the back of your head like who's buying this? Who is
Weibo.
this for? Who's the target?
Weibo.
Yeah, Labo. You talking
Or
about the
Labo.
Labo?
Yeah, Labo.
Yeah, like who was that for? Like I know maybe one person who got it. That's a big maybe.
I don't know anybody. I've never seen anybody who has it in
Just
real
you
life.
just, yeah, you see somebody pull out a lab. Like I've seen a ton of people pull out Switches. Like Switch is very popular.
Everywhere. It's
Very
yo.
popular.
This is another thing we were talking about at work. You cannot go to an airport and not see a Switch.
You throw
Impossible.
a rock in an airport, you can't hit somebody who doesn't have a Switch.
Yeah, impossible.
No, it just makes it's a gaming system that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like I you remember when the Wii U came out,
I do.
right? And I think we talked about this. I was like 11, so I don't know how integrally I talked about it, but we talked about this. I was like, we were talking about how like the Wii U is kind of cool where you can like take it off the TV and still play the game
Right.
and stuff like that. I was like, man, what if you could just play the whole game on this, right? And there were certain games you could do that on, but it wasn't all of them. Like they had to like they were like kind of testing out the concept. And like
Right.
the Switch, if you want to play on the TV, you play on the TV. If you don't, you just take it off and play literally anywhere.
So
like
it's almost like the Wii U was the test bed for
it might have been. That's probably why
Switch.
it failed so horrendously.
Right.
And the thing is, Switch is small. Switch is really small. I could fit the whole thing in my pocket. Screen, right pocket, Joy-Cons, left pocket. I'm chilling. Like I don't even need the Switch case.
Right.
It's portable. It's like I know I'm going crazy about the Switch, but I am a Joy-Con boy for life.
Hey, I hear you. I hear you. That's what it is. But the magic sauce that they've put into the Switch is what I wish all companies would put back into gaming. I think
okay, I'll say this, right? Especially because the game space is expanding even more now comparatively to what it was like a
It's
few
more
years ago. Like,
eyeballs and more hands.
yeah, because think of it like a funnel that's like slowly opening up, right? Like 2012, 2000 to like 2013, kind of opened up a little bit. MLG was going crazy. Now it's like slowly opening up. After COVID, it just exploded, right? And it's just a new era of people trying to make a quick buck off of games and gaming and stuff like that. And it's just like it's definitely gonna get to a point where it comes to a head, and one or two things is gonna happen, right? Companies are gonna wake up and they're gonna realize, oh, you know what? Maybe we should stop monetizing stuff so much. We should actually work on making decent games. There's a lot of companies that do that, right? Like you get Insomniac Games, you get id Software, but for every one of those companies, you have an Activision, you have a Treyarch, you have a EA, right? And they make a lot of cool games, but a lot of their model is just making money, right? Or second thing, another game crash, like back in like the early '90s, late '80s, right? Where it was just a bunch of bad games coming out and nobody was just buying them. They were just everywhere.
I don't know if that was the 80s or 90s. I would say.
What was it? I mean, you were there.
Because games were, I would say all through the 90s, games were golden. They were good, like all through the 90s.
They talked about the game crash in class. Well, we talked about it in midterm when they were talking about like making games.
You know what? Okay, I take that back. I want to say toward the end of the 90s, like I would say maybe like 97, 98, 99, there wasn't as much, because I'm trying to think, because I was going into the military at that time. Yeah, because I want to say all the way up until Halo release, you didn't really have any like ground. So let me see, because in that time you had Ratchet and Clank, which was definitely doing numbers. Yeah.
Apparently, for Ratchet and Clank wasn't supposed to be like the companion character, but it was so popular in the first game, they were just like, run with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Ratchet and Clank is a banger. But I would say up until the first Halo, you really didn't have, like, gaming was dying. And in case in point, when the Dreamcast came out, the Dreamcast should have survived. For all intents and purposes, when you look at the Dream, and we talked about this before, it failed. Yeah, it failed probably partly due to the lack of interest in gaming. Yeah, gaming just wasn't where it once was.
Everybody was making games, and the games that were releasing were just bad. Like I watched a documentary on this like a few years ago, and it's like, look, okay, I am not the best game developer. I am like average at best, but these games were terrible. And I know it was like a different time, like back in the 90s,
super
80s.
trash.
It was a little harder to make games, but people were just greenlighting anything. Like I was just like, dude, what is going on? And that's it caused a shift in the game industry where people were developers and project directors alike were like, okay, we need to switch this up before the entire industry dies, right?
Okay.
There's a lot of standards that people are held to nowadays, especially like in the game space, that kind of is supposed to offset some of those bad games that come out.
I see.
There was one game that came out. It was a WWE game. It had so many glitches. Like it was just like, I think it was WWE 2K21, and it was just like riddled with just the weirdest bugs.
Yeah, you don't have. I remember back in the day, there was a gradual succession of dope games. Case in point, you had GoldenEye smash hit around the same time. Final Fantasy VII smash hit. Before that, you go back further, you had Mario, then Sonic, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, Virtual Fighter, Tekken 2. Like these were a succession of bangers, like back to back. Then you had all of the sports games, right? The Madden, NBA Live, NBA 2K. Like these were bangers, back to back bangers.
I think it's the okay. So there are a lot of studios that do different things that are like what's the word? Propelling the industry forward, right?
Okay.
And there's also a lot of studios that are just putting more fuel into the complacency that's entering the industry right now.
Playing games.
Yeah, like they'll
all pun intended.
they they won't do anything different outside of the formulas they know because they're like, oh well, that'll just this will just make us money. Like Horizon Zero Dawn, right? I watched a documentary on that game recently, and when they pitched it, they were like, man, this game is so like out of there and it's so like out of the norm. I don't know if it'll succeed, and it's one of their best games that studio's ever made, right? It's critically acclaimed, and it's still critically acclaimed. It came out years ago. The second game that came out recently for it is people are loving it, right? And there's studios like that will take chances and be like, you know what, this seems like an interesting idea. I think people will resonate with this in the story. Boom, killing it. And then there's companies that just release the same game every year, expect people to buy it, and they're just like, yeah, well, we're still making money. People don't really like the games as much, but we're still making money. Like, it's just like,
So they've gutted and bastardized the industry because they don't care. Why care? We're making our money. Who cares what you guys think?
I'm not saying it's like I run a company. I don't run a company. I don't like. It's not,
Yeah,
But it's like outside looking in, that's what it feels like.
Right. Yeah. It's hard to Monday morning quarterback and say with
exactly like what I would
precise.
Do.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, but I mean, I would like to believe that. Let's say if you personally were running a company, I would like to believe that you being a gamer and having a love for gaming. I mean, just think about it. You have a love for gaming that developed into a love for coding that developed into game development, right? So I think that actual love for the art goes a long way.
Well, that's how a lot of people started. So Sean McCabe, he's the lead technical director for Insomniac, right? And same way, right? He started off loving games, then like started getting into programming, and then it was like I think he went to Full Sail and he graduated and he just went into the industry and was like just did his thing. And I forget. I asked him what game inspired him to start making. I think it was Final Fantasy VII.
Okay,
that's what he told me.
That I am not surprised.
And he like when we were, because he had like a panel at our school and he was talking about it. He was like, "Yeah, I just always loved games. I've always wanted to contribute to the art of creating video games." And now he's like lead technical director of one of the most well thought of companies right now, Insomniac. Like that Spider-Man game is heat. Like,
I've not
play it sometimes.
I've not heard one bad thing about that Spider-Man game, not one. And which is odd because normally you have that one-off person that's like, yeah, everybody likes it, but I don't, and I have not found that person. Yeah,
the game is too good to hate.
Yeah, I've not found that person.
You can't hate the game.
Everybody I know who's played through the whole game, they said it's like playing through a comic book.
It really does feel like that. So especially the opening scene of the game. If you've ever like watched any of like the Spider-Man shows from the 2000s, or you've ever like read a comic book, you're like, this feels like I am inside the comic book. Like it is like, it's good.
That's dope. That is dope.
And they're making a Wolverine game pretty soon here too.
I think they're hiring really? Right Insomniac is?
Yeah. So you never saw it. They had a trailer for it.
And is it only going to be on the PlayStation?
It might be on the PC because so what happened was they ported over Spider-Man to the PC recently.
I might have to build me a gaming PC.
I'm thinking maybe, right? Big maybe they might do the same for Wolverine when it comes out. I'm not sure, or Spider-Man 2. You know,
I don't know. That's another thing that like I like and I understand console exclusives, but it kind of ticks me off too. I'm not gonna lie, because it's like
get a PlayStation.
Now I gotta buy this gay station. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness, X-Bone 1.
Oh man, okay. Well, I we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, Wolverine game, you already know, that's one of my favorite Marvel characters right there. I might have to invest in Sony for that one. You know, the only reason I never really bought a PlayStation is because outside of Final Fantasy VII, now let me be clear, there is bangers on the PlayStation. Yeah, there's bangers on a PlayStation. But you know how it just like some games, as banging as they are, just it's like, that's banging, but it's just not my thing. Final Fantasy VII was it for me on Sony, and Sony has.
Have you seen stuff from the remake? The remake was pretty good too.
Oh yeah, Final Fantasy. Yeah,
part of the game, but the second part's coming out like I think sometime next year.
Yeah. Where they made it more like more live action. Yeah,
it looked really good.
Yeah, I was kind of upset that it was not on the Switch. I want everything on the Switch, you know. I'm
You're becoming one of us, Dad.
I just
Welcome.
don't it's I just don't want to have to buy 5 different consoles. I bought a Switch. That's the console I want to use.
Yeah, I should just be able to just have it there.
Yeah, put it on what I'm using. But I might at some point I might build a gaming PC though. I might do that. And the only reason I would rather do that versus buy an Xbox or PlayStation is this very reason. I don't like this whole exclusive thing. I get it. I get it. This their bread and butter. I understand, but I don't like it. I don't have to
Yeah.
like it.
I see you have the Rippaverse thing in the
Oh,
background.
oh yeah. So for those of you on GeekStack, you can't see because my screen is cut off. You probably saw it in the intro. On my Mac, my iMac behind me, I have iSum, which is from Rippaverse Comics,
It looks
a
really
creation of Eric July, which he just posted a video today where he got the first batch in to be shipped out, and I believe I'm in that first batch because I ordered day one.
Ooh, yeah, you're doing a review on the Thinkening channel.
Oh yes, oh
Yeah.
yes, I'm going to be reviewing that book. I am excited. This I have not.
I bet you that book's gonna appreciate a lot.
Oh, oh yeah,
Lot.
I'm gonna buy cover C. I wish I would have. I bought cover A, which he's not making anymore. So cover A and cover B are not gonna be made anymore. They're sold out and that's it. But you can still get cover C for the duration of the campaign. So I might buy a cover C just to have
Did you
one.
get just the A or the A and the B?
I just got the A. I just got
gotcha.
I just got cover A.
I bet
So-
you because like I have a prediction. Okay,
Go ahead.
I think Eric July has stumbled onto a bunch of comic book fans who are disheartened by the community, disheartened by
Oh, that's a fact.
what's going on, and he might be able to leverage this in creating his own comic book studio. Right?
Oh, that's already happening. Think about
Well,
it.
I mean, like with multiple writers, not just like
No,
just
yes, that is already happening. Think
I was
of
not.
yeah, oh yeah, think about this. He started out and in his campaign. Now, I like to correct this because Eric July corrected this. This was not a crowdfunding campaign. He paid for everything up front. He paid for all the posters, all the books, the cards. He paid for all of this. So the funding campaign, so to speak, was you investing in his company. So that initial recoupment was set for 100,000. This man raised 1.2 million in a day.
Isn't that 2 million now?
It's at 3.5 million right now. It's probably at 3.6 million. I haven't checked in a little bit. Let me see, because that's probably
goes to prove if you make something great, people are gonna like it.
People want good comic books. People are looking for good comic books. People want good storylines and good art.
It's kind of hard to find out, especially like
Comic book art right now.
Like you'll find one or two every now, like Dark Knights of the Realm. That one's really good.
Okay,
That's like
so he is at. I thought it was more, but he's at 3.29 million right now. And you heard about?
That's still an insane
Yeah.
number.
You heard about what's going on with PayPal, right? And Eric July. Oh, you did not hear about the controversy.
Okay,
Oh, you've not been watching the Thinkening. Okay, so here's what happened. So he put out the word to his fans, what payment processors would you like me to use when I start Rippaverse? So most of the fans overseas can use PayPal, right, as an international payment processor. So about 30% of the money in this campaign is through PayPal. That's about 1.23 million or something like that. PayPal froze the money, won't give it to them. And they're using, I'm not going to go into the details. I went over it in my Thinkening channel. You can go over there and
you'll have to watch Thinkening, y'all.
Yeah, and you can go over there and watch it, but pretty much PayPal is holding his money hostage. Now, this is my estimation of what happened. When you look at the major investors, and I go over all of this on my Thinkening channel, the major investors in Marvel and DC are the same major investors of PayPal. My assumption is they thought that this was crowdfunding, which it is not, and they played themselves. They thought if we hold his money, he won't be able to ship product and he won't make noise. What they didn't know is
He already bought everything.
he already paid for all of this stuff.
Oh,
So
that's smart.
they played
That was
themselves.
smart.
Oh
That was a
yeah.
smart. I think he's probably seen a lot of like the crowdfunding stuff that's gone on.
Oh yeah.
He was like, I'm gonna think ahead. That's smart. That's
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He can sue them for that.
I think he's got lawyers on the way. He's talked about it. He's talked about it on his channel. Go follow Eric July, Young Ripper 59 on YouTube. Also follow Ripperverse Comics on YouTube.
Ripperverse Comics.
But what they did is they saw how fast. Think about it. If I am not mistaken, I could be wrong about this. Somebody in the comments, check me if I'm wrong. I believe Eric July's launch is the most successful independent comic book launch in history, if I'm not mistaken.
If not history, in a long time.
3 million in 2 weeks, 1 million in a day, 2 million in a week.
Industry, right? A whole run for a comic book will make 200,000 at most. At most. That's like being generous. Most of the time it's more like 80 to like 150, right? Eric July did that with one issue.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's insane. And I think the art looks great.
No, it does. So the character design is amazing. And the story that I watched a video you saying that he was explaining the story. It's a dope story.
I am very interested.
Really dope story.
Very interested. He's invested in this, and what he said is,
he's gonna be on Comixology. That's my question. Actually, Comixology got bought by somebody else.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna speculate on that right out the gate.
But back to the point.
But yes, he is making noise. So there's a guy, another Eric July's Black. There's another black comic book creator that had some negative words to say to him for different reasons. I'm not even gonna mention the guy's name, and I'm not gonna mention his comic company because I don't. Yeah, because I don't want to give him any airplay. And this is the reason. This is the reason that kind of not upset me, but I was like, man, why did you have to attack him? Eric July made it very clear in his ad for Ripperverse Comics. He said, look, this is his disclaimer. I am a libertarian. That's what he said. And even though I value liberty and libertarian values, I am not going to beat you over the head with that in my comic books. I'm just going to create good storylines with good art.
I bet he heard that. He was like,
yeah. And the attacks.
You know how you said that, like, we're not going to mention his name, whatever. You know what we call that? An evisceration. He's eviscerated.
Yeah, I refuse to mention his name. I'm not going to give that. I'm not going to give that any press. And I don't look, the other guy, I don't dislike him. And I would actually buy and read his comic books. Now, I will say, when I looked at that other guy's comic books, and I'm not saying this just because he attacked Eric. That's not what I'm saying. It just didn't really look interesting. Keeping it real with you. I'll mention his name when we're off air, but I'm not gonna mention it here. But
jealousy and envy will make you do some insane things.
Yo, and you know what Eric July said? He was like, yo, if this dude could have reached out to me and said, even though I don't agree with your politics, I see what you're doing and I respect this. He said, I would have worked with the dude. I don't have to agree with you to work with you. And that's unfortunately what we have going on today is people have not been able to parse this. So here's the thing. I'm going to read a quote. And I read this quote to you before. I was actually going to record an episode of The Thinking today. Kind of been going over a rough skeleton of what I want to do, but it's from Pericles, who was an Athenian politician. He said, now mind you, this was written somewhere around 485 BC. This is what he said. Just because you do not take an interest in politics does not mean politics won't take an interest in you.
Yeah, I remember you said that. I feel like it was 2 weeks ago.
The unfortunate truth is politics has permeated comic books in a negative way. Right? So I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with somebody's views working themselves out in their artistic expression. That happens
happens.
organically.
That's literally how it's supposed to
Happens
be. But
organically.
if you're beating somebody over the
Right.
face, like with a baseball
Which
bat,
is what's been happening.
over and over, and it's like,
Right.
and then when you say, "Hey, this is annoying me," you're beating me over the head with a bat. They're like, "Oh, you're just a horrible person." It's like, what the heck? Like,
Right.
I'm not buying yourself anymore.
And you're right. Eric July recognizing that. You can tell. Look, this dude has raised 3.29 million, 3.3 million in 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, dog, that is crazy.
If that doesn't tell you how tired people are in the comic book industry, I don't know what will.
tired.
I don't know
Super
what
tired.
will, right? Because it's not like we want to see good stories with the characters we grew up with. They just refuse to give it to us. Now, like a few comic books that are doing like okay, that still kind of have good stories. I'll say Batman, Spider-Man, and Nightwing. Because those are the ones I read personally, right? But they kind of have to. They're kind of like the flagship people for those companies. But like a lot of the ones you look at, you start looking at some of these comic books, you look at the stories, you're like, man, this story is garbage. Like it's not a good story. And they'll just start eating you over the head with this stuff. And you're just like, okay, see, if this is a good story and I liked it, I wouldn't really care. But not only is it a bad story, but you're throwing stuff in my face.
Okay, so you ready for me to hit you over the head with a story that I know you've probably already heard and it's gonna piss you off?
Oh, no.
You ready? Okay.
Yeah.
So this comes from the New York Post. Now, let me make this clear. It's not the thing itself that's annoying. It's the fact that this is not organic. This does not happen organically, and they're messing with storied and legendary characters. All right, here we go. You ready? This is a raw reaction, you guys. New Star Wars book suggests Obi-Wan Kenobi is bisexual.
All right. So,
raw reaction.
What? I thought I muted my mic. I did not. That doesn't even make any sense. Cannot, like, okay. Where could that win? Look.
First of all, Jedi are not allowed to have relationships and attachments.
That's not true. So they can.
Okay.
Stuff can happen. Okay. Well, they can't get married.
Okay. I stand corrected. Okay.
So like they can, like there's Jedi who have had kids. That can happen. Stuff like that can happen. You can't get married though, and you can't be with your family.
Okay.
That's the part.
So you can spread your seed. You just can't take care of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Jedi from the hood. Oh, okay, I get it.
Jedi are a bunch of hood dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
A bunch of.
I mean, the first introduction one, you just got a kind of shootout in a bar. You remember?
This is true. This is true.
That's the first introduction. That's what happened. I mean,
yo, they was keeping it gangster. Okay.
He was keeping it. He was keeping it G.
Okay.
No, but okay. So I'm gonna have to read this book because I'm knuckleated.
I was perplexed, he had
a love interest. She was just in the Clone Wars series. I forget her name.
Okay,
but you can kind of. Oh man, it's
retconning.
I was having a good day too.
I'm surprised you didn't hear this story already.
I don't read the Washington Post.
It's the New York Post, but I mean, so I heard it, and again, let me make it clear. It's not annoying just because of the thing itself. It's like this doesn't fit. It doesn't. You know what fit.
You know what's even more insane? Okay, I watched some interviews when the newer Star Wars movies were coming out with Luke Skywalker. Right, Mark Hamill himself was like, "Yeah, this is not the Luke you grew up with. This is a completely different character."
Yeah, I don't like that.
His reaction on like the premiere days, he did not look like he was having a good time. I'm like, yeah, right. I probably wouldn't do if they massacred the character I spent 40 plus years building.
Right. Yeah, you see the celebration the Luke Skywalker on Mandalorian gets because it was a return to form.
Because that's a Luke Skywalker we know. He's acting like Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker murdering his nephew because he believes he might be evil, even though a few years earlier his dad was actually evil and he saw the good in him. That makes no sense. That makes no sense with this case. It's like, oh yeah, I learned this huge lesson over a few years. and I'm gonna completely forget it and kill my nephew.
Right. Yeah, it's super interesting. Super interesting. I don't understand it. This and so that
What
that's
the heck?
why I
That's
led
insane.
with that quote from Pericles. So this is what I say to all of the geeks. How do we solve this? Eric July.
Not buying him.
What he did, what Eric July did is how you solve it. You don't just complain, you do something about it when you have the capability to, right? Now, we're just two dudes on the internet talking, but we're doing something, right? We're creating content, talking about things we like, we don't like. At some point, right? Let's say if the Geek Stack podcast got really big, do you not think some of these comic book companies and game development companies wouldn't be looking at the metrics and saying, well, dudes on Geek Stack said this and it's getting traction. We may be in the wrong here, right?
Well, okay, so you can also get stuff like what happened with the Halo stuff, right? Where like the developers would actually like be on Reddit, like taking like a lot of like the
Constructive
criticism.
criticism, right?
Yeah, they'd be like, okay, so this is why this happened. We will take that into account, or this and that. Whether or not they use any of it, I have no clue. Then you can get stuff like the Battlefront 2 thing, where EA pretty much just purged an entire Reddit page of people talking crap about Battlefront 2.
Thinking
It's like,
that was going to make the problems go away.
yeah, Battlefront 2 is fun now, which is insane because nobody plays it anymore.
Yeah, once you lose your dedicated fan base, I'm not gonna say they never come back, but I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be hard to get them back.
One game I do see that's making a huge resurgence. You know what I'm gonna say, right?
But you're gonna
No
say,
Man's Sky. No Man's Sky.
yeah, you were mentioning that to me.
It's me and Anthony were talking about it. Actually, it's getting really big because they've added a lot of really cool stuff to the game. Like they added some VR stuff. They added
Okay.
a story, like a cohesive story. They added like a bunch of
Okay.
like ship and freighter stuff you can do. It look, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna make a prediction. In 2 years, right? Some streamer or some YouTuber is gonna start playing No Man's Sky, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, this game is actually pretty cool." And No Man's Sky is gonna have a resurgence that to the likes of Minecraft in 2016 to 2020.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised at all. I would not be surprised in the least. They finally gave fans what it is fans wanted.
And they didn't give up on the game. They
Right.
like
But
stayed
so this
there.
here goes my conclusion of the quote from Pericles. Watching what Eric July is doing, if you are a geek and you are talented in whatever area you're talented in, I just talk. I'm a talking head. I used to draw when I was younger, but I haven't really dedicated anything to that in years.
Geek Stack comic
But
books.
if you are a geek and you are skilled at whatever field you're in, whether it be gaming, comic books, storylines, whatever it is, get involved. Do something. Don't expect somebody else to fix it. You fix it. You get
I mean, you
involved.
can say the same thing about pretty much anything in life.
Yeah,
And
that's
there's a problem
true.
with them, go fix it.
Get involved.
Be the change that you would like to see.
Yes, and I think I think that is happening, and I think that's what's going to fix the geek space at least. I don't know about the rest of everything else, but the geek space.
Geek space in general seems like it's healing a little bit.
I think it is. I think it is. And I think Eric July's success is proof. People just want good content. They just want good content. They don't like, I don't care if me and you disagree ideologically on every issue. If you create something good and it's organic, I'm gonna like it.
There's a lot of people I don't necessarily agree with on a lot of their worldviews, but they make stuff that is good. Like I'm not gonna deny what they make is good. I'm not gonna like put my head in the dirt up my butt and be like, no, this is horrible. Just got on like the person's views. I'm be like, it's good.
This is good stuff.
Really good.
Right.
Really good.
Let's go with it. Right.
Right.
Even though, and so this is where, excuse me, when I go back to 343, I'm like, what is it gonna take for you guys?
It hurts my soul so much.
It does.
To see them fail. I'm just like, bro, please just do something. Like, and they're starting to, deliver some of the promises they made like over a year ago. But Halo's dead. Halo has died. Halo Infinite for the most part, unless something insane
That
happens
hurts me to hear.
in like few months. I'll ask my friends even. I'll be like, "You guys want to play Halo?" They're like, no, not really." It's like, it's hard to find games. The games you do find, balls.
All right, folks. Of course you would do that. We had to take a
Oh, that's so funny.
uncommercial
Oh,
break.
man.
I had
Oh,
to
that's
go get me
hilarious.
some water for this
That's
COVID
hilarious.
cough. But anyway, back to our conversation on 343.
I don't even remember what my point was.
I don't remember either. Let's just suffice it to say 343, fix your stuff.
Like it's
Get it
so,
together.
It hurts my soul.
Like
It hurts my soul.
I'll tell you what they need to do. Like you were talking about No Man's Sky just now. What they did, how they're going about fixing their game. 343, do this with Halo Infinite. Just focus. Don't even focus on the next game. Don't worry about the next game.
I think that is what they're doing. But the thing was, it's like a rebound effect, right? So many people were excited about the game, wanted the game to do well, right? And they were expecting all these things from the game. And then when they left and they just like let them down, they're just like, "Oh, I'm done." And the thing that kind of makes No Man's Sky, I don't know if it's different, right? But one, they kept all the developers that create the game, so it's easier to fix them. First of all, I feel like that's not like like a rocket scientist thing to do. One.
Oh,
Two.
You mean you need
right?
people to actually be consistently working on a thing? Oh,
Yeah. I've seen like a lot of the 343 developers talk about this. I don't know how many of them are still actually there, but they're like, Hello Games are like, "Hey, so we know we messed up. We're really sorry." Blah blah blah. And they went silent for a bit to go work on the game. Like people didn't hear about Hello Games for like 1 to 2 years after everything happened, and then all of a sudden they just started dropping updates left and right, fixing things, adding things they said they were going to be in the game on launch. And they're kind of getting momentum. Like people are like, they have a dedicated fan base somewhat now, like more than it was when the original like fall happened, right?
right.
And I'm not saying that it won't happen with Halo, but I don't know, man. I want to say it. I want to say it will. I had a lot of faith in this recent game, and I mean, I saw how that went. I'm just like, dude, like I don't know.
Let's give them some time. Give them some time to correct it.
I'll give it like a year and a half. I'll give it a year and a half.
Yeah, when you told me there was only 700 people online playing,
that number might have been a little off, but it was like something really low.
Yeah, whatever it was, there was some low number of people online playing.
There's a dude who was talking about it, and I saved the video at some point, but it was, I was just like, dude, that is insane. Like that is. Oh wait, here it is.
So you found it?
I may have. No.
It's all right. It's all right. We'll just suffice it to say.
Oh wait. Here it is. So there were 1,900 players online.
That's not a lot. That is not a lot at all. You're talking about, and you got to think about it. You're talking about Halo.
Yeah. There was 1,900 players online.
One of the most storied.
I don't like.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
That's almost unconscionable for Halo. 1,900 people. There's probably more people online playing Halo 2 right now.
Well, those servers are down. Depends if you mean like Magic.
I was being funny, being facetious.
I don't know. It's just kind of disappointing. Like
it is disappointing.
Like if you told me when Halo 3 came out, this is the future we were waiting for Halo, I would have told you were crazy.
Me too.
I would have told you insane.
You remember?
You're an insane person.
Yeah, you remember when Halo 3 dropped? I had my Xbox 360. It was me.
Yeah, before it got death to death.
Yeah, it was me, your mom, and
was it Darius?
It was Darius, and it was another couple. Yeah, Drew and Diana. Yeah, we were all playing online, playing through the campaign. It was
because he was the last one alive during that last mission.
Well, no, that was you're thinking about when me and him played through Halo 1.
No, because it's when you guys were online and like when you guys were going through the last mission, Arbiter and Chief, and he was the last one alive driving the car.
Might have been. I don't quite remember. You may be right. But yeah, That game was fun in so many ways, like
And it
so
drops
many
with so
ways.
much content.
Right.
There's so, especially nowadays, it's so common to drop games that are just bare bones.
Half cocked.
You kind of just add on to them. Like
Yeah.
back in the day, there were no such thing as day one patches. You ship the game, you ship the game. That's it.
Yeah, it was good.
Right. Now every single game has a day one patch. So it's almost like the default to release an
I
unfinished
think
game.
that's lazy creating.
I don't
think,
know. Maybe it's time constraints. Maybe it's lack of resources in certain areas.
Here, okay.
I have no clue.
I haven't.
Like look on the inside. That could be right.
Possible.
It's
How about
just-
this? How about when you create a game, you spend time developing the game?
I mean, you see that with FromSoft with Elden Ring, and also like Breath of the Wild stuff like that. But then again, those are Japanese developers, so they have, like,
but
different
so check it though. Check it. Look how long they took on Breath of the Wild, because it was supposed to originally come out.
on the Wii U, and they delayed it.
Okay, so that was a gamble, but it paid off.
So,
Breath of the Wild
I
came
think
out, and it was gangster right from the gate.
Nintendo's philosophy, right? I think it was Satoru Iwata who said this, right? A game is only delayed for so long, but a bad game is bad forever.
Yeah, I remember you said that.
Right. I mean, they hold true to that. They will delay games, and they won't, like, they literally had to restart development on the new Metroid game, and I'm like, okay, like, I have full faith it's gonna be a good game because they did that.
Yo, Metroid's getting ready to be a banger.
But that's what I'm saying.
Metroid
Like, I don't
4
think
is gonna be a
I
banger.
think if more American companies were to kind of be like, okay, as the game stands right now, it's a bad game. There's issues here. There's issues here. Let's change the release schedule so we can actually release a dope game, right? Like if Halo Infinite came out, I'll say like 5 months later, it probably would have been a better game.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Because we didn't even
You're
get
probably
local
right.
we didn't even get a multiplayer campaign until like a week ago.
Oh my goodness, that's terrible. I didn't even know that.
So
That's terrible. That is. Oh my goodness.
yeah,
But
so
is it laziness in the industry, or is it that they feel the need because they've spent so much money on this game, right? You said they spent more than Avengers Endgame, so they had to rush it out.
absorbing it, but like, when I saw the number, I was like, bro,
That's stupid. What, like, so in your opinion as a developer,
so 500 million.
okay, so in your opinion as a developer, do you think that amount of money is excessive in game creation? Do you think it was warranted, or do you think it was mismanagement?
It depends on the scope of the game.
Okay.
Right?
So with this game, what do you think? Do you think it was mismanagement? Do you think it was too lofty, too much, try to do too much at once?
It might have been a consequence of that because they definitely, I'm gonna keep it real, they definitely put a majority of their manpower into making the more intricate parts of the game engine and the campaign, right? Which I
Okay.
appreciate, right? But as far as like having content for people to actually play post game, like after they beat the campaign, after they're done, after they get tired of playing the same game modes over again, it was like, oh shoot, yeah, we gotta do that too. You know,
What? Okay,
that's what may have happened. I don't know. Okay, that's my theory.
Okay, yeah, you have a inside view, so your theory is probably more accurate. What games are you looking forward to on the Switch?
The new Breath of the Wild game. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah,
they've been teasing that for a hot minute.
Yeah.
And they delayed it again. I'm like, okay,
you know
well,
what? I as a Switch owner, I should own the original Breath of the Wild, and I don't.
Hold up. Get Breath of the Wild, but also I'm gonna get this game at some point too. Get Kingdom Hearts on the Switch. It's on the Switch. Get Kingdom Hearts. You will like it. I promise you.
I didn't know Kingdom Hearts was on the Switch.
Hearts on the Switch. It is a great game. The story is good, and there's a bunch of Disney characters in it. Who doesn't like Disney?
Yeah, that's goes without.
I'm telling you, because the story is so good that like the second game or the third game took so long to come out, and the hype was still real about it. Still,
That's crazy. That's
Still,
real.
like,
That's real. That's real development. Real gaming right there. That's a company that.
Well, I think Square Enix does that a lot where they'll like have games that just will be coming out next year. They just never do.
Yeah.
But yeah, look,
Can
I kind of want to. There's a lot of games I'm excited to play. I just don't have time to play them right now. So when I have more time, I'm excited to play. I'm excited to play Stray. Stray looks really good. I hear it's relatively short, but it looks like a good game.
I'm gonna have to look that up. I don't know much about it. Bright Memory, the game I was telling you about earlier.
Right.
Yeah, I'm looking. I might buy that maybe next week.
Yeah, I want to play that Ninja Turtles game. I've been hearing a lot of good stuff.
Oh, I beat it.
Yeah,
Oh, that Ninja Turtles game is so lovely. It's one of those games where I could literally play that game every hour on the hour and still have fun. That's how dope that game is.
Because I watched a review on it. It was like one of the before you buy videos. I was like, oh, actually kind of dope. I actually like this game.
The same dudes that created that last Streets of Rage.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
It's like the same style. I'm excited to play Arkham Origins. I have not finished that game. I've been playing that game since like December.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah,
so comic books, what are you looking forward to besides obviously the Rippaverse? I'm looking forward to this. That I'm hoping
Dark Knights of the Realm, the conclusion to that storyline seems like it's gonna be pretty cool.
Okay.
The Nightwing comics they're always good. They're still getting good. So the storyline going on with Peter Parker right now, where he got his powers back finally, and the whole Ben Reilly situation is insane. Like you should look into the new Spider-Man.
Okay. I may have to look into that. I fell off from Marvel for a bit. They got kind of boring for me.
That's a fair assessment. No, they did get boring for a hot minute. What else? I'm looking forward to a lot of manga. I'm not gonna hold you.
I feel you. Manga's moving units. It's making noise.
It really. Look, you gotta join, Dad. You gotta join.
It's like I said. I have nothing against manga. It's
Vagabond. I'm telling you, Vagabond and Vinland Saga.
I'm gonna keep it real with you.
Get past the 7-year-old urge to have colors in the pictures.
No, really it's not that manga's bad. It's just not my interest. You know me, I'm a traditional comic book guy.
But they're so good though. The stories are.
I'm not against it.
Art is so intricate. Like you talk about art all the time. Some of the best art I've seen.
Yeah,
Vagabond, Vinland Saga, Sunken Rock. Okay.
I might check it out. I might check it out. I'm not gonna give you no promises.
I wouldn't keep saying this every time we talk about it for no reason.
I know. I'm not gonna make any promises, but I'm telling you, I'm excited for ISOM #1. I have not been this excited for a comic book since the creation of Image Comics in the early 90s.
Oh, what is the Wildcats?
Wildcats, Cyberforce, Spawn, Gen 13. Yeah.
They're making a new Spawn movie, by the way.
Are they?
You know what? Mentioned it like a year and a half ago.
They did. I remember watching something where Todd McFarlane was talking about it.
It's gonna be more like horror based than anything. So
I mean, Spawn is kind of a horror comic book anyway. Yeah. It's what it is.
Daredevil's coming back, and he's gonna be in the new She-Hulk show.
Yes,
he has a new suit.
I am excited about that.
I like the new suit.
This is where Disney can really make up for. Did we talk about Thor: Love and Thunder today?
You mentioned it, and you talked about how bad it was. And I'm like, I'm not gonna watch it.
Okay, so spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Woo woo.
It's so terrible. Okay, so Gore the God Butcher. They didn't have to completely change the way he was introduced and the host. I just didn't like it.
Did they mention the symbiote? The symbiote
thing? Yes. So okay. In a way, yes, I love the Jane Foster Thor run. Now let me say,
amazing. And the War Thor stuff that happened after that.
There's a lot of people that thought the Jane Foster run was bad because they thought they were doing it for like cultural and wokeness reasons, and I'm not convinced that that's what it was. It was actually a good storyline. Like I'm legitimately saying, I have the comics, I love the story, and Jane Foster's death, the way they did it in Thor: Love and Thunder is so terrible
They killed
that
her
I was
character off.
that I was just like, what is this trash right here? Because
So
if
you're
I'm not
telling me,
mistaken,
so you're telling me they introduced one of the best iterations of
but
Thor in comic books into the MCU and then killed it off
but the thing
immediately.
is, if I'm not mistaken, I'll have to pull my comic books out and read it again. It's been months since I've read it. She did die when she
Well,
faced
yeah,
up against Gore the God Butcher. Like that
yeah.
happened. That literally happened. That's not the point. When I tell you the way they killed her off was sickening, it
How
was
they do
like,
it.
this is trash.
Okay, I gotta know because I don't know if I'm gonna watch the movie. I might watch it when it comes on Disney Plus.
So, she had cancer just like she did in the comic
Oh,
books.
so it transferred over. So same thing. So she had
Yes.
Okay. See, I
Yes.
like how they have that in there.
They did. But you remember in the comic books, she actually died, like literally died in battle against
Yes,
Gore the
fighting
God
Gore.
Butcher.
Yes, and I think in the comic books, Thor didn't know that Jane Foster was Thor for a
So
hot.
it didn't really happen that way in the movie.
I don't think it could.
In a
honestly.
roundabout way, it did, but they like went into this other realm, and they like it was like, I don't even want to go into details. I'm not going to give away all the spoilers. Some people may want to see it, but it was trash. Thor: Love and Thunder was hot New York City summertime garbage. That's my review. Straight garbage. What's the dude's name? Tico Waititi or whatever his name is.
It was good. The last movie was good. I liked.
This,
what was the last one?
This is the problem. This is the problem. Ragnarok was good because we were still in that Infinity War phase. You see what I'm saying? We were still in that phase of the Avengers. So you could deal with a lighthearted movie when you knew what was bubbling. Have you noticed that all of these new Marvel end credit scenes are incohesive?
Yeah, they kind of don't really connect.
They
to
don't
each
connect
other.
to anything.
Also, they're kind of like the Ebony Sword thing was kind of cool. I like that one. What was the last one? There was.
Yeah, see the fact that you're even saying that. What was the last one?
What movie? The Multiverse of Madness one. That one was.
It was decent.
Cool. I don't really know
but how are they connected? How are they connected?
Maybe we just don't understand right now. Maybe when like the next Avengers movie comes out.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that. During the original Iron Man and all of the subsequent movies and runs, all of the end credit scenes made sense to you right away. You immediately, if you were a comic book geek, immediately you were like, oh, I see what's happening. The first time.
So the last scene in Multiverse of Madness kind of made sense with the eye right here, because in the comic books, the eye of Agamotto is actually on his head and it's like awakening his power.
So it's not that doesn't make sense. What I'm asking you is connect that end credit scene to all of the new Marvel movies. Do it. My exact point. That's my exact point. How does this connect? Where does this fit in?
What was the end credit scene for the Spider-Man movie?
Let me see if I can remember. Was that the Venom?
Yeah.
No, Venom. No, it wasn't. It wasn't Venom.
One of the Spores being left behind.
Was that it?
Yeah, it was. What the heck was his name? Eddie Brock going back to his universe, and then some of the Venom symbiote being left behind.
Was that in the Spider-Man movie? Was that the Spider-Man movie in credit scene?
That was in credit scene.
I have to watch it again, but. So here's my point. I'll go back to Thor: Love and Thunder. There was too much comedy. I could deal with all of the comedy in Ragnarok. Check this out. So in order to fight Gore the God Butcher, they have to go to the planet of the gods. So they go and Zeus is there. It's comedic.
Oh, you're talking about the scene where he rips his clothes off.
And then he takes Zeus's lightning bolt, throws it through his chest. It was terrible. The end credit scene, Zeus is talking to who's his son? Hercules? Is it Hercules his son? I can't remember who's Zeus's son.
Well, Zeus has a lot of sons. Zeus was kind of.
So anyway, he in one of the end credit scenes, he's talking to his son to get revenge on Thor. It just was trash. Like nothing. Look, when I tell you completely not excited through the whole movie, Like I went to see that movie and I was like, you know what? I should have listened when everybody was telling me this was trash.
So I will say this, right? Some of the people who are reviewing the Batman movie poorly were a bunch of like people who just love the MCU, right? And I saw this meme where it was like when Batman doesn't say, "Well, that's gonna hurt," when he like when he beats somebody up, like in the Batman movie, and I'm like,
Right.
yeah, I think people are too used to comic book stories being like having all these jokes in them and stuff like that, and like for characters like Spider-Man,
That
that
works.
makes
That's
sense.
his character.
Deadpool,
Deadpool,
right? If I see a
100%.
Blade movie and this man is cracking jokes, I'm gonna be disappointed.
Done. I'm
Okay,
done. I'm out.
I will
I'm
walk
out.
out of the movie. I
Yeah,
will
I'm
walk out
out.
because I've seen the Wesley Snipes Blade movies. Blade was that dude. Blade was
Bangers.
that dude. Well,
Bangers.
and that makes sense to his character. Even in the comic books, he is that dude. He's very serious. You know, he's
That's a
about
fact.
his vampire killing business.
That's a
all right?
fact.
And if I see this man make a joke in the middle of the new Blade movie, I will walk out of the theater.
We got problems.
I will walk
got
out of the theater.
problems,
I
yeah.
will be like, well, that was a waste of money. Just like Mid-Turnals.
Marvel catching them hands. Marvel, you catching them hands.
I just hope this next phase is like better. I guess even the shows are kind of like,
I have not watched
like,
Miss Marvel.
Only reason I'm gonna watch She-Hulk is because my boy Daredevil comes up in there.
So I heard what was that last one? It was Miss Marvel, and what was the other one that I haven't watched yet? What was the one before that, before Miss Marvel?
See, the fact that we're starting with this is kind of
Yeah.
But this is like the most content they've dropped in one phase. So
It is. And I think they've dropped, maybe they got a little ahead of themselves, dropping so much content at once and not really doing a good job of explaining through the story how all of this is connected, because I don't like as I'm watching the stories, I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I know they're moving toward the Secret War. We know that.
Oh, yeah, it's
I get that.
what the thing is doing.
But when I was watching the Infinity War saga, I understood
You can
exactly
see how
exactly. Yes.
Like you can see how things were connected. Like the first thing you even see Thanos in, right? People who read comic books were like,
I was
and then when you
going crazy when I saw that.
And then when you find out in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, it's Thanos's, what is it, general or son that was trying to get the Infinity Stone from them. You're like, oh, so he's collecting these, and then the explanation even makes sense. It's like, okay, and I could kind of see some of that and how they explain the multiverse in some of these shows, right? And some of these movies that are coming out recently, because they're trying to like have the whole multiversal saga and the whole Secret Wars thing that happens when they're on
doing too much.
The War World.
Yeah,
Is that what it's called?
They're doing too much.
And I mean, it might be good.
You know what? Eric July said this, and I got to give him the credit for this, because I never really thought about it, and it's true. He said in his comic book universe, he's not going to keep creating multiversal stories to reboot and reboot and reboot, so people can't really follow storylines.
Good. I hate Look, I remember, right? New 52. I knew everything about the New 52, and then they retconned it and made Rebirth, and I'm like, bro. And apparently, there's going to be another retconning in a few months.
New 52 was dope. New 52 was dope. It was so dope.
Even how the saga started with the whole Flashpoint thing, amazing.
Oh my
right?
goodness, so good.
That was a great scene where I think it was. Oh, that was in Rebirth. Actually, never mind. There was this. So dang. See now I'm like
mixing stories.
Okay, because Rebirth is kind of cool. Like the Batman stuff is cool.
Let me pause you. Let me pause you, folks. What he's going through right now is the problem with all of these reboots and multiversal reboots. Continue.
I can't remember what universe is it. So apparently in Rebirth right now, all the stories for Batman are connected. All the stories for every character are connected. It's just through like continuity. They kind of explain. It's very confusing how they did it.
So, and this is exactly what Eric July said he wanted to fix with his comic book universe. He said, if you watch the ad for Rippaverse, he states in there, he wants to create a comic book universe that people can pick up a book and follow. Like you don't get like if you go pick up a random Marvel book right now, good luck. Good luck.
Know what's going on. And then you have to buy the book coinciding with that. But and it's like I'm cool to have overarching stories through an expansive universe and multiple characters, right? But when I have to buy multiple books to know what's going on with one character, I'm gonna be a little pissed off. I'm gonna keep it real.
Look, I don't like when I pick up a comic book and I'm reading. Now, I can understand that to some degree, if you pick up a comic book a couple issues in, there's some things that you might miss, right? That's gonna happen. But if it's like I can't follow anything and now I have to go back 20 years just to semi figure out how you got to this point, and then you had 4 reboots in those 20 years, and I have to understand the succession of reboots.
That's why I like the Dark Knights of the Realm thing, because it's just one story just going through.
That's why, yeah, that's why I like Dark Knight's Metal. You know what Marvel should have done in phase. What is this, phase 4 we're in? Is this phase 4? Yes.
War of the Realms.
You knew where I was going.
It would have made so much sense, especially with what's been going on, because they're introducing Namor, right? There's a new Black Panther, right? And all like a lot of stuff happens in Wakanda.
Malekith and the Dark Elves brought them right back.
You can bring them back.
Right.
You can bring them back. They could have introduced them in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yes, they could have. Yes, they could have.
You know what? I'm surprised they didn't introduce Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
That's yeah. I agree. There's a lot of things that. Oh man, Marvel. What are you doing? What is you doing? What is you doing?
Playing with us.
Oh my goodness.
You can say the same thing about aside from Joker and Batman movie aside, DC's kind of doing the same.
Yeah, but I will to a worse degree. I will give DC this pass though. DC has had unfortunate things happen to them that really is kind of out of their control.
Like the Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller, yeah, that's because outside of Ezra Miller, there's 2 L's I will give to DC, and one of them is a small L. Batman versus Superman, small L. It wasn't terrible, but it could have been better. That second Wonder Woman movie, bruh.
I didn't even watch it. I saw some, I was like, because the first one was so good. And you're like, look, when you think about it, right? The only good movie out of the first run of those DC movies was Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman was fantastic.
And they fumbled the bag
hard. My goodness. That second
I watched the review on the movie. I'm like, what is this story? What is this? They should have waited another year to drop it. They should have waited another year to drop it. I promise.
If you haven't watched it, it's worse than you think. Whatever you saw in whatever review, it's worse than that. When I watched that movie, I was almost ready to cry. Like, how did you mess up? How did you follow up that original Wonder Woman with this trash? You know the problem? This is the problem. Let me give you movie and comic creators some advice. Let me get a drink first. Stop killing characters that you don't need to kill. Because fans get an attachment to these characters and you kill them, and then you realize in a second movie, oh, we kind of need this character because the chemistry of this character and this character is what made that movie great.
Game of Thrones.
Stop killing characters.
Game of Thrones did that. They were pretty good.
The thing about Game of Thrones is the succession and the way they did that, it flowed with the story. You understood. Look, when they killed the Starks, you understood what it was. You knew, anybody's on the chopping block. Anybody can get it.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody safe. You knew that. The Red Wedding happened and you was like, oh, it's up. It's up for everybody. Anybody can get that work. You expected that from Game of Thrones. But in Wonder Woman, they built up the relationship with her and the one pilot. I can't remember his name. The first one. They brought him back in the second one in some kind of weird way, but they realized they had to bring him back. That's why they did it, because of the chemistry between him and Wonder Woman on camera is really what made that first movie so good.
Trevor.
What'd you say?
It was Steve Trevor, that's his name.
Yeah, they brought him back in a weird roundabout way, and it was oh my goodness. Wonder Woman was so bad. I don't know which one is worse, Wonder Woman or 2 or Thor: Love and Thunder. I can't even get my
What I
words
think they
up.
should do, I think they should do, they should just create whoever was in charge of spearheading that Batman movie. They should put them in charge and just create the new universe around that Batman movie. The rest of it just seems like some hot garbage.
Right? So we'll
It
leave
just seems
on
like grabs.
yeah, we'll leave on this note. On this note, to all you content creators, and I'm talking about major content creators, Marvel, DC,
Image
all
Comics.
you video game developers, EA. Who else did we bring up? 343. What's another one? What's a bad development company right now?
Activision.
Activision. Look, man, get some people in there that really want to do the job, that love the content, and that are going to create something that people actually want to play, read, and watch. Y'all need to stop sucking up our time. We're tired of it.